morning, good day to you, as usual. Wherever and whenever you listen to the series of knowledge from Keshe Foundation Special Institute. The emotion of time. I know last week we got a lot of you thinking, especially about the emotion of greed. The week before, on a Friday, we tested it on the knowledge seekers who joined, but in a different way, in a different structure, letting them to understand what it is and what it can be. Greed cannot be financial. Greed can be in anything: possession, property, another human being, collection of items, and everything else. But how does the emotional physicality of the man connects with the emotion of the soul of the man? Time has no emotion, but when you put the time and emotion together, you create creation. Because it needs time to show, it needs time to confirm its existence, it needs time for it to show the manifestation of the effect or existence. One of the most probable ways that one can understand emotion has a parallel line or has a connection between the emotion of the soul of the man, the emotion of the soul of physicality, and the physicality of the man. We cry, we feel depressed, we react to, and then we change the position, and the place. But when we move, that point, the time comes into operation. But how does the emotion of the soul of the man connect to the emotion of the physicality of the man? And then, if you understand the connection, how the soul of the man's emotion and the soul of physicality of the man emotion, or the physicality of man emotion, connect to each other, what can you do? In a way, when all three, as the emotion of themselves, have common denominator force, magnetic field emotion, that what you feel physicality, you feel it in the soul of physicality, and then you feel it in the soul, then what's the effect of this? What can be done with such a position? In today's time, when the physicality faces rough time between the father and the son, through the emotion of the soul of the physicality and the physicality of the man gets himself cancer. But what happens to the emotion between the soul of the man and the soul of physicality of the man? When they are not in balance, when they're in conflict with each other, when they're out of tune with each other. And what happens when they're in tune with each other? Would that be the point of elevation, comprehension? Would that be the time when man gets enlightened? When, in the dimension of physicality, he received the information from the universal dimension. And then, what emotion does that bring to the man? The time starts when that emotion starts affecting the behavior, the place, the time, and position of the man. Same to be with the emotion and with the enlightenment of the man. Somewhere there is a connection between the magnetic field strength of the emotion of the soul of the man and the emotion of the physicality of the man and the solar physicality of the man. When all three in magnetic field strength become one or interact with each other in a level of understanding and cooperation and collaboration, this is where the enlightenment comes in. And this is where the soul of the physicality of the man connects with the soul of the man as an entity. And then what we see, it could be pain, it could be joy, it could be a movement. Then the person gets a cancer through the emotion, can travel the span of the city or a village, or it decides to stay with the emotion and control, which happens in the dimension of physicality. The soul of a man's emotion cannot be controlled. It has its own field connection. But man, in the dimension of physicality, can control the emotion and with it decide the elevation of the soul of the man. When emotionally you're under stress, emotionally you're not happy, emotionally you don't feel you belong to, you do all sorts of things wrong, which does not balance with the field energy of the soul of the man. And then we see the physicality living a zombie life, just being there, where 99.999% of the people on this planet at this moment living at zombie time. Everything else is more important than the existence of understanding the process of the creation, which allows them to have access to everything, and they decide not to. They choose to be physically involved than actually allowing the souls, the dimension, the magnetic field of what created them to decide the next step. But how does the magnetic field of the emotion of the man in the dimension of physicality connects with the soul of the man? And in turn, how does that connect to the soul of the universe? This is and will be one of the nightmares of the future science and technology of the man. The dream, the reality, the time, the place, which never works the way man knows as a mid-known. But the most important thing for the knowledge seekers to understand is how does the emotion of the soul of the man connects with the emotion of the physicality of the man? How does our physical life emotion, the way we cry and the rest, has a connection, interconnected with what is in the books and things been done hundreds of years before? Emotion of existence is the outcome of the man's desire to exist, to be there. And subconsciously, the whole physical structure of man works in that direction. But what is the common between how does the soul of physicality and the soul of the man connect, where one is on the basis of the matter state and one is the dimension of the universal energy? The only solution for man left to understand it is to understand the reason for the existence of what we call the plasma, the fundamental element of plasma, being able to be available in the hand of every man. If we can measure, if we can connect, if man understands the two, he will know the answer. And he can tell you by feeling, is this the emotion of the man, emotion of the soul of the man, existence of the man? But what is the common denominator? Because that emotion creates time, and time cannot be stopped. In a way, has a progressive development of its own. Many scientists up to now have been trying to understand this, have been trying to comprehend how things around the universe works, but they have never understood the emotion, the time, the place, the position, the enlightenment, and the intellect. In the coming time, when man takes itself to travel this planet of universe, very few, very few, will travel in the dimension of physicality with aircraft and everything else, UFOs and the rest. Many of you will travel through the dimension of energy. But how can we monitor where the soul is within the body, the soul has left the body, or the soul is not happy the way the body is? Then man understands how far behind is left with the technology, with the knowledge of creation. That needs to be understood, and we do not have time. Understanding the connection between the emotion of the soul of the man and the emotion of the soul of the creator is another cornerstone of the work of the universe. And again, it has a common denominator amongst all the fields of the universe. Where the soul of the man's emotion and where the soul of the man's physical emotion click, where do they connect? What's the common denominator in between them? It has to be below fundamental plasma field strength. It has to be connected to fundamental plasma field strength. And in that process, sometimes it brings more gases with itself than actually needed. And that is the time when we see the elevation of the soul man, a new life, a new way to exist, and a new way to connect to the creator of the universal community. Condition of existence of the man in space will come from understanding the field strength, control of, and participating in one ocean. Once man understands this, then he'll understand one point, that man has always been connected from the time of inception until today with the magnetic field strength of the creator. And that is why man is emotional. And that emotion brings the what they call 99 attributes of the creator. How the fields interact, in what condition, and what is strength. One is giving, one is taking. And once man understands how to manipulate this energy, man will succeed to travel this one of the universe without any fear. Not worrying, I've got a box, cat box, and I cannot get on a taxi or a bus. One of the fundamental points about the creation is the time. And what's the backbone of it is cosmic rays. For the fields come together to start a life is not easy. But many of the woman, as a mother, is already trained to be able to accept the new life, a new soul, and share that soul in common denominator with the Creator. What we are doing with you today, we are feeding you massive amount of energy deliberately and consciously, and we are feeding you in a way that will bring change to every soul on this planet. Then we understand that the soul of the man, through direct dimension, is connected to the soul of the, what we call the essence of the creation. One day, mankind will understand that the connection between his soul, the emotion of his soul, and the dimension of the soul of the man's, what we call ego, position, greed, all will come from the same source. We are not there to develop, we are there to enjoy the purpose and the use of the power of what we call the energies hidden within the soul of the man. In the coming time, we have to see how a knowledge seekers will interact. What fingerprints you will leave behind, and to what extent this will affect the dimension of the life of the man in his space, control of emotion, and once the man himself to this dimension of understanding, all other men of the same will be enlightened. You are amazing in understanding it, but the common denominator between the all, not the common denominator, but the information, the knowledge, the understanding becomes part of the process of the man's life. Man cannot move. The emotion, the understanding of the field, the strength of the soul of the man, the emotion and understanding the field, the strength of the soul of the physicality of the man will give man a clue. At this moment of time, we are saturating with what we call energies, which is much more than you most probably need. And in one way or another, most probably will try to achieve. But again, goes back to what is the connection of the Creator with the man of the shopping. Would we one day be able to replicate the emotion of the Creator, that with it we achieve the position and the position and enlightenment of the Creator? If, for example, we are on the 20th or 50th layer with what we have, what we achieve as a material to ignite the engine, what happens if you use and deliver the same, but without permission? How we connect the energy of the soul of the Creator with the soul of the man is what the man will come to understand needs to be able to transmute between the center of the universe with the essence of creation and any position in creation. On planet Earth, we have found flight to go higher, to be able to go faster, and the rest of it. In the dimension of the creation, the fastest time is time of the emotion of the creator from the time when it reaches us or has reached or will reach somebody else. There is a common denominator motion between all created things, and if time allows us, we can look at this. We receive this from other knowledge seekers. We receive knowledge through the love of the Creator. Understanding of the soul of the emotion of the Creator. And then understanding the soul and emotion of the man. And if man doesn't become greedy, as is today, then one will see a totally different image of the person in position and opposition. We understand that when the times connect, a new cycle starts. The same shall be when the souls meet and survive. And it's the responsibility of a man to make sure what mankind has gone through in the past with suffering cannot be repeated. Creation of time, creation of emotion brings man to the point of maturity. For man to understand how and the way he can move in the dimension of creation. In the session today, we are trying to achieve this. We're trying to give enough energy to the man that man loses his essence of emotional greed, essence of emotional wanting, need. And in a way, if we succeed, we should see an amazing structure of the soul of the man, collective knowledge seeker's soul in today's session, where we try to satisfy, we try to make it available and see what you take and then watch what you give and see if man has become detached or if man sticks to the greed of holding onto, to be the possessor, to be as part of. And then this point, it comes when there's a conflict between the emotion of the soul of the creator and the soul of the man, where in essence of creation, there is no greed. And this is where you'll find not conflict, but realization, enlightenment, in detachment that becomes as part of the structure of the work of the creation. When I have all, what am I looking for? When I have all, do I need to hold on that I tapped into universal energy and I can give it because the more I give, the more comes my way, not the greed of coming, pleasure of being here to give more. And this is the, in a sense, part of what we'll do with you in space. From the time you go into the cycle of transportation, even physical transportation through UFOs or whatever you want to call it, the time in that microsecond, we try to satisfy every need of man's emotion. That man finds himself that there is no need, has everything he needs, and has become part of the soul of the Creator. Holding on to does not bring pleasure and enlightenment. In a way, to release it brings that enlightenment, the light, the knowledge. If the sun does not radiate its fields, and if those fields do not interact, they'll be passing through the empty space of the vacuum of the universe with no confirmation of the existing. The only time we see the beauty of the sun is when another magnetic field like the earth interacts with it, and that interaction creates a light that is in the dimension of the fields of the matter state. But can you imagine the field of the soul of the Creator is forever, has been and ever will be, and then the soul of the man in the dimension of same field of strength touches that field. The way that the lights from the sun to the earth that are still in the dark space of solar system, but when they touch the fields of the earth, they light up. You get the light, you get the daylight, enlightenment. And then imagine if man can create a field which in essence interacts with the field of the Creator as they are forever radiated, how much man will be enlightened. It's very simple. Birds with birds, lions with lions. To enjoy and to be with the lion, you have to have the essence of the emotion of the lion. And that lion is the king. And that lion is the Creator. And how can the field emotion of the detachment of the Creator by giving become or interact with your soul and then lights up? Then it has to be of the same, otherwise it does not. The magnetic gravitational field of the sun and earth is more or less the same because it came from the same creation. It came from it. Now you understand why the greed is the cause of the man. The field emotion of the greed is the cause of the man not to interact with the fields of the Creator, to be enlightened. The biggest stumbling block, the biggest factor in the elevation, enlightenment of the man is the greed of the man. Because when you collect, you have more of, where the Creator has less of. You have to unload. You have to unload the field strength of, not the money in the pocket and giving it away as a charity, but giving with the soul to enlighten. And then you reach the position of the Creator. Go back to the very first teachings, and forever I keep on telling you, teach. The more you teach, the more you understand the essence of the emotion of the Creator, detachment. When you hold on to, is the greed that comes for every aspect of the life of the man, be it in the dimension of the soul, be it in the dimension of everything else. Then you have to understand how humble man has to become, how much man has to walk away in the emotion of the fields from the greed of holding on to, that he creates a field of strength that he can interact with the field of the Creator, which has no greed, but giving. And if you understood this, and what we are giving to you at this moment of time in the background, and you understand it, then I wonder how many of you are holding on. And during the process, how much further you're positioning yourself to be of the strength that you can interact with the light of the knowledge, the enlightenment that enlightens you. Now you understand why we tested the greed. Now you understand why the cornerstone of the man's fall is the greed of the man. The emotion it creates is not at the field strength of the creator. In a way, is the opposite to, is the black hole of the life of the man. The more you collect, you become that center point, that black hole that it has nothing to give. Where in fact the light of the creation is within it to give. And then you understand the heavier you get, the further down you fall. I made man in the image of myself, but I didn't make man in the emotion of myself, as I have no emotion of greed. And then you understand how much man needs to understand, has to understand, to be part of the emotion of existence of the Creator. Then you understand how much more you, as knowledge seekers, have to understand about your own emotion and try to find out what is the emotion of the Creator, which I have been created from, but I have walked away from. One day in these teachings, I teach you how, in one instance, switch and reach the field strength that enlightens you with the light of the Creator. Detachment from every aspect. And this is the way I have been teaching. Detachment and everything from everything. And that's why when I teach you, it stays there. It touches your soul and it changes the course of humanity and the universal condition. Because there is no attachment. Then you understand the totality of work of the universe. How emotion is the cornerstones of the man's, what I call pitfall, to reach to the essence of the Creator in the dimension of emotion, not in the dimension of physicality. If you feel the emotion of the Creator, you have already met the Creator. You become part of the creation and you become part of the fields of it to radiate to the others. If you understood the teaching of today in past half an hour, you have found the key to everlasting life. And if not, as I always say, this is another voice in the wind of the planet there, where the soul understands, but the physicality cannot comprehend. We go for a small break, come back. We'll try to answer you with the questions that might touch you, bring your soul to understand and be touched with. Then you understand the how today. Why we have tested you with greed. And let's see how much more you have to be greedy for.